All right, guys, here comes the fun part. We are going to start adding color. Before we do that, I want you to make sure that you have your final project, your sketchbook version, your oil pastels. I have a bigger kit than you do, but yours are very, very similar to mine. And then just make sure you have your pencil and eraser handy just in case. The first thing I want to show you, though, is how to draw the snowflakes, because we are going to put those in first so we don't forget and accidentally color over our tongues and forget about our snowflake that we're catching. So I want to show you in pencil first. I'm going to show you on here. So when we make our snowflakes, to make them look a little better than just doing like a polka dot, or a lot of people like to just make like a asterisk. That's what that's called. We're going to kind of expand on this version, okay? But if you want to do some polka dot snowflakes, you can, but we'll talk about that in a second once we add them to here. So what I want to show you is that to make a snowflake, what I like to do is make a plus sign. And then I make a smaller X through the middle, like this. Then I go and I add little V's to certain parts of them. And it just makes it a little bit more dynamic. So you can add arrows or V's, whichever you want to think about it that way. You could even add little lines. But in oil pastel, you're not going to have too much space to do too much. So again, I make a plus sign. And then I make an X. And you could switch those. The X could be bigger and the plus sign could be smaller. And then I add arrows and V's to add detail on the plus sign and the X. And now you have a cool, different snowflake. And you can go crooked too, right? So you could make it a little different, tilt it sideways. Mine ended up straight again. It's kind of tricky since we're using multiple angles. But yeah, you could do something like that. And so there's more of a long end and a short end. It's really up to you. So practice a couple in pencil first and use your sketchbook before you decide kind of what you're going to do. I do want you to do a fancy snowflake for the one on your tongue for sure. Okay, so really make sure you're thinking and practicing, because when we do it on our final paper, we're not using pencil at all. We're going straight to our oil pastel. And I know that sounds a little scary, but it looks better, I promise. And if you want to add another part, you could. There we go. Okay, so we're going to do our snowflakes first. So I'm going to find my white oil pastel. I'm going to make sure it's clean. You have brand new kits, so it should be clean. But just in case, I kind of will rub it on my sketchbook and kind of clean off the tip and make sure I don't have any colors from any other projects on there. All right, now I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to go straight to the one on my tongue so I don't forget. It doesn't have to be square in the center. You can push it off to the side. That's completely up to you. But again, I'm going to make that X or that plus sign first and then do the opposite, just like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some arrows or V's. And like I said, it's going to be tricky. And you could even add little dots because your oil pastel is not as, think about the tip difference. Oil pastel versus pencil, you can get a lot finer with your pencil than you can with your oil pastel. So you might not be able to do as much detail as you did in your practice. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some to my background. Again, adding some detail. Like so. And I'm going to add like 3 big ones to the background. And then I think I'm going to do something a little bit different with the rest of the space. All right, so I've got 2 big ones. I've got the one on my tongue. I'm going to make one more. Maybe I'll have it go off the edge. So I never want to see you draw boring snowflakes ever again. All right, so I've got my big ones, but let's pretend that those are snowflakes that are closer to us, but there's still snow in the background. And so I'm actually going to add just some small polka dots to kind of fill in the space. So now we've created even some more depth, is what we call it, some space behind us. So we have some snow that's closer to us, that's more detailed, and we have snow that's further away from us. All right, I like that change. I'm glad I did that. All right, so now that we have our snowflakes, we are ready to color the rest of our project. Today, we are going to focus mainly on our skin color, and then I'll let you go wild with the rest of your jacket. So we are going to use our sketchbook first to test our skin color. So I want you to grab whatever you think is going to work for your skin color. So you might have some peachy colors, like an off-white. Maybe you need some browns. It really depends, right, on your skin color. So you can see on my hands what kind of skin color I'm going for, but I would love for you to match your skin color as best as possible. Now, oil pastels are cool. They blend together almost like paint. So we can do a few different things when we're testing our colors. So I can put in, and see, here's, you're going to see why it's important to erase your pencil and to draw lightly. So I can still see that pencil under there as I color. Now, when I'm coloring with the shape that I'm coloring. It doesn't make any sense to color this way right now. It makes sense to color long ways and almost in a curve with my head. And I'm coloring kind of medium pressure. I'm not pressing super, super hard. It looks kind of like crayon right now. But I'm going to go and I'm going to grab a second color and maybe blend over the top to make a new color. And I could even go back and go over it again with the first color, or blend it with even a third color until I like what I see. So I really want you to experiment with what looks best for your skin color. So again, I started with this peachy color, but then I added a little bit of this kind of yellowy brown on top. I didn't add a lot. And then I went back with this other peach. And then I went back to the original one and kind of blended them all together. So I used 3 colors, but now I got to kind of stop and say, is that what I want? Is that what looks good? It looks pretty good based on my skin color. But I really want you to experiment with mixing. I don't want you to use one straight color for your skin. I learn a little bit about color mixing with oil pastels and how they blend together, and then carefully color around. Notice that I'm being very careful and I'm working my way around my head, right? I'm not going crazy and going all over and rushing. I'm taking my time to make sure I do it the right way. Now, you do not need to color your complete sketchbook drawing. I'm just showing you as a practice. I'm ready to move on to my final one with my colors. Okay. Now the white paper will actually make your skin color a little bit different than when you put it on the blue. So it's okay if it looks a little different as you go. So I'm going to start in the exact same place, but this time I'm going to color pretty much my whole skin color area with that first peachy color first for me. And that way I'm kind of working in layers with the same oil pastel at the same time. Okay, so I'm not pressing super hard. I can still see some blue through my paper. That's how we want it, because we're going to blend, so that's going to go away. All right, so now I just down here at the chin area, and I am not turning my paper so that it doesn't make you guys sick with me moving my paper too much. But if you are more comfortable coloring by moving your paper than turning your hand, please do so. I normally would want to rotate my paper and kind of keep my hand moving in the same direction the whole time. All right, so now I'm going on to that second color that I chose, and I'm overlapping on top. And remember, I'm not quite finished yet. It's starting to look a little too yellowy. but I've got that other color that I'm going to blend with it. So I'm just doing a light layer. So maybe you have some brown tones in your skin. If you're using brown, use it very lightly, kind of like I'm doing with this more yellowy brown. And then you can go back. Oop, I forgot my ear over here. And then you can go back and blend it again. And so the more layers you have, the less we're going to see the blue of the paper and the better it's going to look. Now, I think this got a little too dark, so I'm going to go back over with my first color, that lighter peach color, when I'm all done, to really finish it off and blend it in together. All right, so I'll show you the difference. So now I'm here, and I'm going to bring it close to the camera so you can kind of see I still have some blue showing through. So when I take that lightest peach color, now I'm going to press a little bit harder as I go over everything and blend those colors together. I'm still being very careful as I color. Making sure I get everything. And remember that we are just doing our skin color today and those snowflakes that we already did. And then tomorrow we'll start adding the other pieces. So I'm really making sure that I get as much as that of that blue covered up, covering up my pencil along the way as well. All right. I feel like I'm in a good place. I like how my skin color turned out, and we are ready to move on tomorrow.